I was just recording the audio version of my book for the beliefs chapter, and I was reviewing what I had written there a couple of years ago. I hadn't looked at it in a couple of years, and I was reminded of how important the whole topic of beliefs is in this spiritual endeavor, or this endeavor of awakening. Ultimately, it all comes down to beliefs. And in the chapter, I unpack it in a lot of different ways and go in depth on not only beliefs, but meta-beliefs. Meta-beliefs being our beliefs about belief, whether or not we think it's valuable to investigate our deeply held beliefs, whether or not we know how to investigate our deeply held beliefs, whether or not we've even ever thought of investigating our deeply held beliefs. So beliefs really are what this is all about. Now, there are a lot of different approaches, modalities, and so forth that are valuable in this process. Meditation, satsang, working one-on-one with a guide, inquiry, physical modalities. But ultimately, it really does come down to belief. It comes down to finding a way to confront, question, and ultimately dissolve those very fundamental beliefs about identity. Now, as I describe in the chapter, even in the relative world, outside of the space of awakening, our beliefs shape our experience very strongly. A belief can turn heaven into hell and hell into heaven, depending on the situation. Our beliefs, being empowering, make us feel confident we can accomplish things, we can live up to the challenges of life. And disempowering beliefs make us feel defeated, powerless, frustrated, etc. But when it comes to identity, challenging fundamental beliefs releases obstructions that open us to vast, free, not even just experiences, but truths that we are without bound, we are without division, we are without edge, we are without center, and we are without a discrete self, a discrete someone at the center of everything trying to manage everything. The freedom of this discovery is indescribable, and it typically happens in stepwise fashion, not all at once, but the end result is true freedom. It's not complete absence of any physical pain or challenges in life. Those can still exist. But it's freedom from afflictions surrounding pain, beliefs that cause us to feel so contracted, so opposed to the movements of life because we think they shouldn't be that way. As simple as this is what it really comes down to in the end. It comes down to seeing things just as they are, without expectation that they should be other than they are. And thus we don't put a lot of struggle, a lot of stress and frustration behind the belief we have that could have never come true in the first place. Now, what keeps this belief in place is that sense of the separate self and the sense of separation, that there are separate objects, people, experiences. Without those, this intense struggle with life, this intense struggle with what is moment to moment, can't last very long. Without those illusions, the intensity of these remnants of pushing and pulling on life, these remnants of saying no to our immediate experience, subsides pretty quickly because it has nothing to grasp onto, and there's nothing to grasp onto it. It has no ground. It has no place to stand, place to plant a root. So it dissipates quickly. Now, as that's happening, it can be very intense because there's no ability to separate yourself from it anymore, to hide in a self, to hide in some inner world. So you feel it very directly, but that really is what dispels the illusion ultimately. And maybe some inquiry into what it is you're resisting, or how you think the world should be that it isn't, and how you think the world shouldn't be that it is, etc. And a lot of this just has to do with these simple beliefs that things are solid, that things are continuous, that I can accumulate something, that things should or should not be certain ways. These are all illusions, and they only really exist in the inner world of illusion and the house of mirrors of thought. In this exact, mysterious, momentless moment, you won't find any of that. There's really nothing like that. There's nothing like nothing either. It's not nothingness. It's not some bare space of awareness. There's no way that I can tell you what this is or what this is like, but I can tell you it doesn't accumulate anything. And it doesn't hold on to anything because it can't. So these dense energies of contraction that are remnants of self, remnants of belief about self, belief about the world, dissolve. They just dissipate into boundlessness, boundless clarity. Replaces all of the struggle and the frustration. But we should never overlook the power of belief. All the way up and down the line, this really ends up being about belief. And the first belief to challenge is the belief that I am the thoughts about myself. I am my history. I am my past. I am the memories that are appearing in my mind right now. I am a collection of beliefs about myself, etc., etc. How do we challenge that? There are a few different ways. But noticing thoughts, one after the other, not engaging, not pushing and pulling, not believing, not rejecting, just noticing. And then starting to notice, well, if that's a thought, and that's a thought, and that's a thought, what else is going on here? What else is here? And then not thinking about it. So just releasing thought after thought after thought. Another way is self-inquiry. There are a lot of approaches to that. There are a lot of ways to describe the approach to self-inquiry, but ultimately it ends up coming to the same place. Or using a koan, like in Zen, for instance. Another approach is just to search for a self, a separate self. If it feels certain to you that there's a self in there somewhere, then look for it. Maybe when the mind is very quiet during meditation. That's a simple belief. It's a belief that we assume all day long. And yet we somehow don't really look for it. We don't look at the fact that we actually believe that. So sometimes just going directly for that, looking for it, seeing, is it there? Or where is the sense of I or me? Where am I? And just looking for it, experientially, not cognitively or logically. So any of these approaches will start you on this path, this pathless path, which doesn't take you somewhere else. It doesn't take you into where you think it will take you. It doesn't give you all the things your mind says you think you need, and so forth. It'll take you deeper into presence. It'll take you deeper into this complete, unbound, undivided mystery that's right here all the time. So there are many ways to question beliefs. But if you overlook the value of that, you may spin your wheels at various portions of this unbinding process. So I would say look into it. It's valuable. Or read my chapter on beliefs.